This is Phil Congdon, pastor of New Braunfels Bible Church. And this is the second day of Holy Week. On Monday morning of the last week leading up to Jesus' crucifixion, he left Bethany again, just as he had the previous day, to walk to Jerusalem with his disciples. The crowds of people on the road to Jerusalem for the Passover feast were growing every day. There was excitement. There was anticipation in the air. You may remember that yesterday on Sunday, Palm Sunday, Jesus was hailed with hosannas and praise as he made his way, riding on a donkey, toward Jerusalem. And then when he arrived at the city, the only thing we were told is that he went into the temple area and looked around. Now, the area that he would have gone to would have been what's called the court of the Gentiles. It is the outer and the largest portion of the temple. Merchants were no doubt preparing their tables and their stalls for the throngs of people who were going to be coming for the Passover celebrations. But it was late in the day, we read, and so Jesus and his disciples returned to Bethany for the night. But now it's the next morning. Again, they are making their way over the Mount of Olives, down through the Kidron Valley, and up to Jerusalem. And as they are walking, something interesting happened. Jesus saw a fig tree and leaf up ahead. It was too early in the season. It was only spring, so the figs would not have been ripe. But fig trees had edible little buds that peasants would eat. And that's what Jesus hoped to find. But instead, what he found was a tree that had leaves, but no buds. A tree with leaves and no buds was a tree that would have no fruit when the summer came. And Jesus in that moment, as his disciples listened, said, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." He cursed the fig tree. Now we're going to come back to that tree tomorrow. But for now, on Monday, Jesus continued on the road toward Jerusalem. And when they arrived at the city, they again came into the temple area as they had on Sunday. It was utter mayhem. It's hard for us to even imagine what this area would have looked like. Thousands and thousands of people were bartering with merchants, and they were buying and selling animals. Visitors from other countries who had other kinds of money were having to change them with the money changers. The historian Josephus says that in one Passover week like this, more than 250,000 lambs were sold. It was like a crazy bazaar. Imagine something like the trading floor of the stock market and then throw in all the animals. When Jesus saw it, he sprung into action. We read that he began to chase out all of the merchants who were selling the animals, and he was turning over the tables that had the doves on them or the money changers' tables. And this was a source of huge profit to the city and especially to the leaders of the temple. So you can imagine they were not happy at all. And some people were shouting at him, "Why are you doing this? What's going on? What's wrong with you?" In reply, Jesus, in that moment, quoted from the prophet Isaiah. He said to them, "It is written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations,' but you've made it into a robber's den." You know, the temple, it was the heart of Jewish religion. It should have been a place for people of all the nations to come in their pursuit of worship of God. But like that fig tree that Jesus had passed on the way that had leaves but no fruit, the temple was beautiful to look at, but inside it was barren. The crowds were stunned at Jesus' boldness and the things that he said. But the chief priests and scribes were infuriated at what he had done. Jesus was popular with the people, but he was cutting into their profits. Something had to be done. And so it was that on the second day of Holy Week, as it came to a close and Jesus and his disciples made their way back to Bethany in Jerusalem, the Jewish religious leaders began plotting how they could kill Jesus.